lacrosse fans, to This Week in Lacrosse. I'm here with my co-host,
Corey Mitchell,
and our brand new co-host,
Haley Pratt.
I'm Carol McKee, and we're really happy to have you with us this week, Haley.
Thank you very much.
We're growing our family here at Lacrosse 605 because we're expecting lacrosse to continue to grow, and we're going to need a lot more people to cover it.
right on.
Don't you think?
Yep.
So, we're going to have a special segment here coming up a little bit later where we're going to have Richard Sudmeyer from Black Hills Lacrosse telling us a little bit about what's going on out in the western part of the state and with lacrosse there, so we're really excited for that. But for now, last week we talked a little bit about college lacrosse this week, and it's time, I think, that we started talking about that. And we're right here at a friend of both Sioux Falls Lacrosse and Lacrosse 605, Play It Again Sports, and their beautiful big new store here on Western Avenue. Stop in. They have great selection of lacrosse gear. We're pretty excited to be here. It's our first on-location shooting. Yeah. So we want to thank Dave Russ, the owner here at Play It Again Sports, and Ben Rauscher, the manager. We're going to try and talk Ben into coming and joining us a little bit later and talk a little bit about their lacrosse, all their lacrosse gear.
Awesome.
Let's hit college lacrosse. On the men's side, and I think men's is about all we can cover today because it's a whole show on each one of them. The best place I found for information is laxpower.com. What a great source.
Yeah, for everything. High school, college, club, NCAA, you name it. They've got it all there.
Well, and it was interesting to see how many high school programs there are before we hit into college. It looks like there are a lot. According to another source that I went to, there's like 44 states that now have high school lacrosse programs. They're not all sanctioned. Some of them are what they call emerging programs, which means they are recognized with the high school as a high school activity, but not a fully sanctioned activity.
Okay.
So it's 44 states. Of course, we're not one of them yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's up to you guys and Richard and the folks across the state to get it to that point. But it's the fastest growing sport in both the National Federation of High Schools and the NCAA. So let's take a look at some of the NCAA programs that are out there. There are lots of opportunities. I had no idea there were this many lacrosse programs. 69 men's teams in Division I.
Absolutely, growing every year. New teams being added every year, whether it's college, club, or NCAA. There's so much opportunity growing out there.
Well, and the Denver Pioneers were this year's winners from Colorado. They were the Division I champions. But I went through and pulled the top 10. Because with 69 teams, that would take us forever to list all those. So it was interesting that Denver came in ranked third, but won the tournament. And most of the other ones that I took a look at, whoever was top ranked is the one that actually won the tournament. So.
Denver started the season as the number 1 seed back in February, so they kind of fell off a little bit, but came on when it mattered.
2 losses. They had 2 losses the whole year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Syracuse was number 1, and they had 3 losses, but they won 13. Denver won 17 to get there. And then Notre Dame, of course, they have a program there. North Carolina, Duke, Maryland, Albany, Johns Hopkins, Yale, and Brown all have programs. And those are the top 10.
Yeah,
So,
I think Denver winning the national championship this year is going to be huge for bringing lacrosse further west and having it spread outside of just the East Coast.
Yeah.
There's a huge growth on the West Coast, and having the champions further west than Ohio.
Then the East Coast powerhouses have always been there. And I did a little research on the Denver, the growth of lacrosse in Colorado, and it really started kind of in the Denver area for high school players in the suburban high schools, and it just took off like wildfire. So it hasn't even been around. Well, even U.S. lacrosse has only been around since, 98?
Yeah.
So it is a new sport when it comes to organization, but obviously we know it's the oldest sport in the Americas.
Right. U.S. Lacrosse actually came about as the merging of 4 kind of regional-based organizations, and so they merged resources and came together to kind of provide that one national governing body. So
and that helps. Make sure everybody's playing under the same rules, and that there's a concerted effort for public promotions and getting the word out about it.
Absolutely.
So then we go to Division II, and there are 59 D2 teams. The winners were the Limestone Saints out of South Carolina. Kind of a fun name. And they were the ranked number 1 in the division toward the end there. Lemoyne, Adelphi, Merrimack, Lake Erie, and NYIT. Do you know where NYIT is? New York Institute of Technology? Okay. LIU Post?
I
I don't know.
Long Island University, I would bet.
I bet so. Seton Hill, Mercyhurst, and Lindenwood rounds up the top 10 there. And of course, you expect to see a lot of East Coast teams in there because it's been strong on the East Coast for so long.
Been around for much longer than anywhere else in the country.
Yeah. But before long, our goal is that there'll come a time before too long when kids around here won't remember when there wasn't lacrosse.
Right.
And that's when you know you've had a good success.
Yes.
Looking at Division 3, you want to take those, Corey?
We have the Tufts at number 1, Rochester Institute of Technology, seed number 2, Lynchburg, Salisbury, and Amherst, round up the top 5, followed by Gettysburg, Bates, Stevenson University, Ohio Wesleyan, and Middlebury.
Middlebury, Connecticut, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have a lot of East Coast teams in there as well.
Yeah.
223 teams in Division 3. And then, of course, those Tufts Jumbos. I kind of like that name, Tufts Jumbos out of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So that's quite a few teams there, and the opportunities for players here are going to be tremendous if they pursue and continue to work at their game. You know, the fact that it's not sanctioned in South Dakota, for some sports that might be a problem, but where lacrosse is still just taking off, do you see that as being an issue?
I really don't. I think it's almost clears the way for pushing forward faster than maybe the bureaucracy of the school system would allow.
Yeah.
So we can try to get it into cities that may not be in the same class, would be double A or single A, whatever, and just try to get it going everywhere possible without restriction.
Yeah. Well, and there are other sports that don't have sanctioned high school or much sanctioned high school that are successfully finding college athletes and putting them moving them on to professional teams. Hockey for one, but hockey has a whole junior hockey program that they do the preparation on.
Right.
That's kind of the recruiting ground for NHL and for colleges right there. So.
Right. That's just having those development pathways. I think are still needs to be developed.
Yeah.
With lacrosse sport. I know box lacrosse has a junior program, but that's a different game and really not established here at all.
Yeah.
So.
We'll have to talk about box lacrosse once we get people a little bit more up about what's going on with lacrosse. And of course, this week we're going to focus on the men's program. There's also the NCLL, the National College Lacrosse League men's program. And I don't know, I think are there any Minnesota teams in that?
Yes, there's a few. I know for sure St. Cloud State University men's program is a part of NCLL. At least they were.
The men's program?
When I was playing there, they were part of NCLL. I'm not sure if they are still there, but many club programs around Minnesota are associated with it.
I think they may have moved to another league that I found a little more information on. Possibly.
Possibly so. I've been out of the game for a while.
Yeah. Well, and you never really played the men's game that much, right?
Only Sunday nights here in adult lacrosse league.
In the pickup lacrosse. There are 139 teams. The U.S. Naval Academy Sled Dogs from Maryland and the Temple Owls from Pennsylvania are the 2015 NCLL champions. I don't understand how they have 2 champions. I was not able to find that. Because they're all ranked together in the same. So is it possible that they were at a tie and didn't continue on?
That, or maybe they have just different divisions that kind of correlate with the Division 1, Division 2, but because it's
I didn't
club,
find
they can't.
that. I didn't find that. So if anybody knows the answer to that out there, why the NCLL, National College Lacrosse League for Men, has 2 champions, or apparently co-champions, we sure would like to know about that. The Navy Club, of course, was top ranked there, James Madison. Ohio University, I don't know if it's Christian Newport Club or Price Newport Club, but they are 4th, followed by Temple, which was the co-champion. Penn State, VMI, Penn Club, Virginia Club, Binghamton Club. So these are all club programs, like they were in Minnesota. So here's the one I was talking about, Haley. The MCLA, the Men's Collegiate Lacrosse Association, they have Division 1 and Division 2.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to share that information with everybody, but we've got a couple of divisions there, and it's kind of interesting to see who's part of that.
Yeah, in Division 1, 95 teams in 2015, including, like she had mentioned, Minnesota and Iowa teams, Hawkeyes, Minnesota Duluth, Mankato, St. Cloud State University, and champions Grand Canyon Antelopes in Arizona.
Yeah, so there's quite a few teams from around here that are there.
Yeah, very much so.
And it's good to know that option's there for a player. And I know we're missing some teams that are close by here, but it's there. And that sounds like a really good division for this area.
Yeah, there's a lot of actually great college lacrosse programs that participate in the FCLA, and it's widely considered probably one of the better club lacrosse programs nationally. There's been professional players that come out of the MCLA as well. One, too. So some of the late bloomers who play, who maybe didn't get a Division I scholarship, can play FCLA and still have a shot at it. So.
Still get a good chance. Well, there's 95 of the Division I teams, 119 of the Division II teams. I don't know if you want to share with everybody a little bit about those.
Door College in Sioux Center, Iowa is a Division II team. NDSU Bison out of Fargo. They finished number 5 in the country. In Division II, Briarcliff Bulldogs, Fort Lewis, Colorado Skyhawks, and the 2015 champions were the Dayton Flyers out of Ohio.
Yeah, so, you know, that seems to be where a lot of our teams are at in the Division I or II and MCLA. So if you get a chance to go catch one of those games. Of course, their season kind of starts in early February for college and wraps up, well, it depends on the division. Some of them it seems like the first weekend May, the second weekend, all the way up to the weekend before Memorial Day. Kind of seems to be what the college season is. Is that about what you remember from when you played too?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
You're going to need more indoor facilities.
More indoor facilities. So let's get a few more playing outdoors, then we can maybe justify the expenditures for the cities on the indoor.
We can do that.
Indoor facilities can be used for a lot of things. And of course, you have right here in Sioux Falls, the Iceplex has that, the family court.
Yeah, the
family rink.
Zuger family rink.
Yep.
It's going to be used for a wheelchair lacrosse clinic this weekend, as well as we're looking at doing some introduction to box lacrosse.
Okay. Oh, well, we'll have to get some of that. That'll be interesting. Yeah, because they take the ice off. That's the only rink out there that the ice comes off of. And it was designed so that other activities could have that opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
Then there's the NJCAA, the National Junior College Athletic Association. There's 31 teams that play lacrosse in that. And the 2015 champions, I like to try and say this, the Onondaga, is that right?
The Onondaga Lasers.
Onondaga Lasers out of New York.
Yeah, they actually have a really great story behind the Onondaga Nation.
Oh, I know that one.
It's the Onondaga Nation who they basically filter kids from the Onondaga Indian Reservation to this junior college program to give kids a shot at getting a higher education through lacrosse and then moving on to Division I programs. So.
And they had that, there was I think it was a public broadcasting or one of the channels had a special on, I think, 3 brothers that came off the Onondaga Reservation and what lacrosse meant to them. And
the Thompson Trio?
Yeah.
The Thompson family?
Yeah.
It's a great story, and those guys, it's inspiring to watch those guys.
Yeah, it was fun watching them play. And, you know, after seeing the Creators game, that all has even more meaning, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. It really is originated with that group out there on the East Coast in New York and the Onondaga Nation, and really have strong roots for the game.
Yeah, it's great. Opportunities galore. And then, of course, here we have the Great Lakes Lacrosse League, and that yes, it's the Great Lakes, but it also encompasses a few other teams. There's 38 teams altogether in it, including our own South Dakota State has a team in that league. The 2015 champions, again, we have 2 champions, and I could not decipher from looking at it on LAX Power if it was a co-championship or if they had divisions. But they have 2 champions, Marquette Golden Eagles and UW Milwaukee Panthers, both out of Wisconsin, of course.
I think that'd be a great question for the STSU club founder, Jorgen Dahl, to answer. So
it will be.
If you can tell us why there's 2 champions.
Yeah, I should have called Jorgen, tried to get hold of him beforehand. Maybe we'll be able to find out before the end of the show. Maybe Jorgen will send us a message. So high school teams, and you coach girls, high school, all ages of girls right now.
Yep, all ages here in Sioux Falls.
And the girls program is growing. It's still a little bit behind the boys program across the country. So one of the research I found on Max Power, it was on LAX Power, they had high school teams listed. And I think they had to have played 5 games to be listed on there. And there are 3,716 boys teams on there. That's a lot of lacrosse going on.
A lot.
2,900 girls teams. So girls have a little catching up to do, but I wouldn't be surprised if they pass them.
Yep, it'll get there at some point. It will, for sure.
I mean, it seems like it'd be a great option for schools looking for that Title IX requirement to add the girls lacrosse, because it's relatively inexpensive to start up and play. And I think a lot of colleges are looking at the same within reason.
And if you're, the other issue is if you're looking for just to add sport opportunities for kids, lacrosse is a great sport to add because you can have both boys and girls.
Absolutely.
Title IX aside. So great opportunities.
Especially now that the economy is rebounding, school boards can afford to add more programs. Lacrosse is definitely a great option for schools looking to expand.
And it doesn't have to be that expensive.
Nope, it doesn't have to be. When you have great fundraising, a board, you name it, it all falls into place.
Yes, and if you get equipment in bulk, and I'm sure right here at Play Against Sports, they'd be happy to help somebody with the full quarter, wouldn't they?
Absolutely, they have a lot of good stuff.
We'll ask Ben about that here a little bit later.
Absolutely. And what's so great about Play Against Sports here, and I know looking for ladies lacrosse sticks, it can be a big challenge because there's always a wide selection of men's stuff, but as far as women and girls sticks, there's not a lot. But if you look right behind us here, there is a great selection here of new and used sticks. So I highly recommend coming out here and checking it out.
And not only that, they're great supporters of lacrosse.
Oh, yes.
We appreciate it. Well, let's take a break and we'll hear from one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back and we'll see if we can get Ben over here with us.
You've worked hard all year. I need you to bring it, dig down deep today. Because today, everybody plays.
Everybody plays.
Everybody plays.
Everybody plays.
Play. When we first learned to work together, it was through play. We learned social skills, give and take, freedom and teamwork through play. There's no age limit on play, no skill level required. Play Against Sports knows play. We buy and sell new and quality used sports and fitness equipment for less, so everybody can play.
Come on, let's play.
You bet I play.
Now it's time to play.
Play it again, sports.
Play it again, sports.
Play it again, sports.
The official sponsor of
All those that play.
Hi, Haley Pratt here with Lacrosse 605, and we are here with Ben Roundshore, manager here at Play It Again Sports. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem.
And now we are so happy to have Play It Again Sports on the Lacrosse 605 team. Thank you so much for being a part of our organization here. Talk to a little bit about your sports background.
I grew up and played really everything. Basketball, baseball, hockey was probably my main sport. I started around 10 and quit everything else and concentrated on hockey through high school, so that was probably my main one.
Right on. Are you from here in Sioux Falls then?
No, Mitchell is where I grew up.
Okay.
Moved here right out of high school. Actually started here right out of high school, so I've been here about 10, 11 years now, so it's been a long time.
Wonderful. Now, Play It Again Sports moved to this location just this year in 2015, is that correct?
Yep, about 3 months ago.
What was the reason for that, and how has it impacted your business here?
The reason was really space. Our lease was up and this place was open. It's been great so far. We've got about double the space here. Yeah, we've been growing well, and I think it's gonna continue to do so.
Excellent. As lacrosse, hockey, and soccer all start to grow here in Sioux Falls, have you seen a lot more of that customer traffic in here? I noticed you have a wide selection of lacrosse equipment here.
Yeah, definitely. A lot more traffic. A lot of people that go next door to Shields and then they come over here and find the stuff at lower prices, and we've seen a lot of that, I guess, so it's been awesome.
That's awesome. It's really cool what you guys do here. It allows, families who may not be able to afford all the equipment the opportunity to pick up a stick and play.
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely good for the community and good for the sport itself.
Yeah.
Now, talk to us about the lacrosse equipment that you offer here at Play It Again.
Really everything. We've got, as you can see, all the sticks, the protective gear, all the accessories, the balls, the strings. I don't think there's much that we don't have. I guess we've really bulked up the inventory the past couple of years. Cleats and everything else. So.
Good. It's really a one-stop shop for all things lacrosse here in South Dakota and Sioux Falls. Now, we just want to give you a big thank you for joining us today, for you and Play It Again Sports. And next week, Carol will talk with Richard Sudmeyer from Black Hills Lacrosse. I'm Haley Pratt, and thank you so much for joining us today on Lacrosse 605.
Getting recruited by college coaches is more difficult every year. There are thousands of other athletes competing for your position. MyPlayerPage.com is the best place for athletes to showcase their personal and player information. Check us out today at MyPlayerPage.com. Any sport, any athlete, any state, any city, champions all.
All right. Well, we're here, and it's so great for This Week in Lacrosse to finally get a chance to meet you, Richard Sedmeyer with Black Hills Lacrosse.
Well, thank you. Thanks, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking your time to sit down with me and talk with me for a little while.
Well, can't make the trip that quickly during the middle of the week, but it's we're all about covering lacrosse across the state, and you guys have had a program going there for a while. I think you're one of the older programs in the state, aren't you?
Yeah, we started back in spring of 2012, and I've been going strong ever since then. And we started doing our first tournaments in 2013, and then gone bigger and better from there. It's been great. A lot of kids have picked up the game here in Rapid City and up in Spearfish, South Dakota now, and word's getting out here West River.
So, Richard, tell us a little bit about how you first got involved with lacrosse and what prompted you to get the program up and going.
My son and his cousin wanted to play lacrosse. They had played soccer. Well, he had played soccer. My son had played soccer for a while, and after a while didn't want to play anymore, and wanted to play lacrosse. And there was nothing in Rapid City at the time, so I just took it upon myself to create lacrosse. I just started a organization called Black Hills Lacrosse and got a few parents involved with it, and kind of suckered them in, actually. But and it's been great ever since. My son's continued to play, and he loves it.
But lacrosse hasn't been around South Dakota for very long, even though it's been around the country and the Americas for a long time. What prompted your son and his cousin to even want to try lacrosse?
I guess I don't know. It's probably a good question. Probably YouTube is a good answer for that. They would always watch videos, and they started watching lacrosse videos, especially big hits, lacrosse hits, people getting wrecked, and I think that's how they found an interest in it. And then I just decided to do it, and they've loved it ever since.
So how many teams did you start out with, and what ages?
Well, we started out with when we first started out, we started out with 20 kids, and it was basically just like a middle school, and it was girls and boys mixed together, middle school age kids and a few elementary school age kids. And then in the fall of 2012, we gained about 40 kids or 30 kids. Again, still intermixed, and then grew to over 50, and we were able to split teams up then, and then now we're well over 100 for participation here, and we now have girls, separated the girls out from the boys, unless they want to play with the boys. But that program's been going for over 2 years now for the girls.
So how many boys do you have playing in Black Hills Lacrosse, and how many girls?
Well, we have 25 girls. Most of those girls are high school and middle school. And the boys, I would guess over 100. I don't have an exact count for you, but it's over 100 for them. We do every age group from U9 through high school in the boys division.
Wow, it sounds like it's really growing out there. And you have been doing tournaments. This is your second year, right? This was your second year of tournaments?
This is our third year of tournaments. Our second year, we decided to do one tournament. We are a U.S. Lacrosse First Stick grant program for the boys and girls now, too. We got a grant for the girls program as well. And during that first year, or the second year, they, as the president, or the coach, I guess I was the coach as well, I went to Philadelphia for the U.S. Lacrosse Convention there. And on the plane in Minneapolis, it was probably about 10 people on this plane in Minneapolis to Philadelphia, because you're going to Philadelphia in January, so I guess no one wanted to go. But everyone on the plane was a first grant recipient, or just heading to Philadelphia for this conference. And I met some guys from Billings, Montana. They're high school coaches in Billings, Montana, and they gave me some information on their tournament that they're going to have that spring. And we went and had a blast. And then we've gone back to Billings ever since, and now we've added on. Now that Sioux Falls has tournaments, and now we've started having games. And then this year we took the girls to Jackson, Wyoming for a tournament there, because the girls is kind of tough. There's not a lot going on here in South Dakota yet, or in Montana as well. Their girls program is getting there, and ours is getting there, but there's just not a lot of opportunities for the girls, and so we have to go far if we want to play somebody else.
You guys have been going to Wyoming and playing some games for both the boys and girls, haven't you?
Yeah, we have gone to Wyoming. Now, the boys this past year, they went to Laramie and played a couple games against the Laramie's high school team down there. The girls went to Billings, Montana for a U15 tournament up there, and then we were in Jackson, Wyoming for a high school tournament there. And we took a van for the girls to Jackson, Wyoming, so that it was an easier drive for most people, and the association paid for the van, and that way we had some team bonding as we went over there. It was cloudy and rainy, so we couldn't see the mountains, but and it snowed as well too, so it was good Jackson weather in the middle of May.
So now you're not only growing the game with kids in Rapid City, but you also Spearfish Lacrosse is getting started up. Can you tell us a little bit about that program too?
Yep, they started this spring. I had a guy from Spearfish contact me last fall, and I helped him get started, and he decided to, instead of forming his own organization up there, just to come under Black Hills Lacrosse. And so we helped him along. We provided equipment for him, because we have equipment through the First Stick grant, and gave them goals, and they got their own jerseys, but gave them money to purchase the jerseys. And they had a U13 team. They had about 12 kids on that team, and they had a U11 team, which had about 7 kids. And so they had 19 kids total up there, which, you know, through word of mouth, I think it'll probably, you know, at least be 1.5 to 2 times more next year up in Spearfish. It's just a smaller community. It's only 9,000 people up there, but I think since it's a smaller community, word of mouth spreads a lot quicker up there. And hopefully next year they get a girls team going too, because one of my high school girls is going to college up at Black Hills State University, and she would love to coach some girls up there.
Be awesome to keep it going. That leads me right to the next question. You know, the kids always can catch on and learn the game, as your son did and his cousin go and watch on YouTube and learn about it. Just the big challenges with a new sport is coaches who understand the game, and then officials who can officiate. How have you dealt with those 2 issues?
We'll start with coaches. The coaches, that's easier. You know, dads want to be involved. Some get a little intimidated, but most have been really receptive to helping coach. And there's great material out there. US Lacrosse provides a lot of stuff online, and YouTube as well, and other resources out there for lacrosse coaching. With the girls coaches, it's been a little bit more difficult. The moms and dads, I've gotten one lady that's really into it now. She's got 5 girls in the program, and she says, wow. Well, since I'm dedicated with all these girls, I think I'll just start helping coach. And then I've got a lady from the Air Force who's helping coach. She played club lacrosse down at the Air Force Academy, and she's been great, because the girls' game is completely different than the guys, and the rules are completely different, and she's been great helping out with just different rules and everything. And I had a girl that participated at the high school level. She was from Fort Collins, and she would help me out with the rules as well, because I coach the girls now.
Okay.
I moved on from the boys and coached the girls just so that program could get going, and I'm trying to train some coaches there and the girls so I can kind of just let them go and do their own thing, and I can do watch my son play now since he's a ninth grader. In regards to referees, that's tougher. Corey from Sioux Falls there put me in touch with Bob Hofer from Omaha. And he came out in April and put on a class for us, a refereeing class. We had good attendance. There's 10 people there, both adults and high schoolers. And it was great for the high schoolers to do it because that, as a part of our lettering process, they have to do some volunteer time. And so they were able to take the class and then apply what they've learned out on the field refereeing U11 games. And I've got a great guy that has started he's going to take over the refereeing for us, one of the parents here, because he just absolutely loves it and wants to just be out there for the exercise. And so he assigns the referees, and I can be out of it. But he's a great guy, and he's really, really dedicated to learning the sport of lacrosse. He watches a lot of video. And me and him kind of chat back and forth sometimes on the rules and interpretation of rules, because sometimes it's very subjective, and coaches may have a different view than the referees do. But all in all, I think the referee program is coming along just great.
Well, we're back, and apologize for that break in our great discussion we were having, Richard. The internet, relying on the internet and it's a terrible thing.
I know. I get frustrated with it all the time.
Well, we were just talking about referees and what you were doing, referees going out there in Black Hills, and you had mentioned that Corey Mitchell had referred you to someone from Omaha.
Yes.
Kind of pick it up from there.
Yes. He referred me to a referee from Omaha who puts on refereeing classes, and he put me in contact with him, and we discussed a time for a refereeing class this past April, and he came up, put on a class for us. We had about 10 attendees, boys or high school age kids and adults that did the class, and then one of the guys in the class, he decided to kind of take over the referee program for Black Hills Lacrosse and has done a great job with it now.
Outstanding.
Yeah, it's great to have parents that just kind of step forward and do this stuff, and he's done a great job with the refereeing.
So, parents stepping up to coach, you've got players, you got referees, you got games. Growing the game, aren't you?
Yeah, we're growing the game. It's been great out here. The community is fully supportive of us, and the parents have just been great. They love the sport, and they have questions about it and don't understand a lot of things about it, but they learn from their kids.
Yeah. So, Richard, if someone is from out in the Black Hills area, whether it's Southern Hills, Northern Hills, Rapid City, is interested in learning more about lacrosse and playing lacrosse, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to get involved, and when are their next registration times?
The easiest way to get in touch with us is to go to our website at www.blackhillslacrosse.com, and on there you can contact us. We have contact information on there.
The audio. So you said the easiest way is to go to your website at blackhillslacrosse.com?
Yep, blackhillslacrosse.com. On there you can click on the contact us links, and it'll email either me or the registration person, and we will get in touch with them and add them to our email list or answer their questions that they might have. Our registration will open up again in December for next spring, and I've already had a few people inquire about that already, some new people, and I got one girl, one boy, and so it'll be open for kids in Rapid City and Spearfish, or if you want to travel up to Rapid City or Spearfish, we're a program for the whole Hills area. And I got an email from a person in Hot Springs this spring and said we should start something down there, and I was like, it's like, great, you should. And I hope to hear back from them this very soon. And well,
Yeah, that would be great. Don't have a fall program. You're just spring only.
Well, spring only. We did fall program a couple of years to get our numbers up, and we found issues with conflicts with hockey here. You know, the training for hockey starts in the fall, and football. You know, we've got a couple of different football leagues, and so our attendance really dropped in the fall. We found out after the third season of doing that, and so we decided to not do it in the fall anymore, and just focus on the springtime. The program's up in Montana.
All right. Well, technical difficulties are giving us a good challenge, but I think we're going to overcome them eventually here. So,
Yeah.
Richard, we were talking about you tried the fall league. That didn't really work very well, so you're sticking with the spring league?
Sticking with the spring league. In the fall, we have the girls and the boys will come out, who's ever available, and kind of just the coaches will put on little clinics just to keep their skills up, but nothing very formal, I guess I should say. It's just like drop-in almost.
Yeah. Well, and those pickup games, the drop-in is probably one of the best ways for them to learn more and work on their skills.
Yeah, it's great, and the coaches they still take their time to do it, and you know, God bless them because they've been great.
Yeah. So now, have you been able to have any coaching clinics or bring anyone out for coaching clinics yet?
Not yet. That's probably the next thing that we need to tackle is to bring in coaching clinics either from Montana or Colorado. Those would be the closest organizations to us. And I've got some contacts up in Montana to maybe get a couple of classes or one class down here at least. But with South Dakota, we're a part of the Minnesota chapter. But and maybe Corey's talked about this with you before, but we're closer to Montana, so it's more. It makes sense for us to kind of get on board with those guys out there and have them to come down and put on a clinic for us. And obviously, we pay for their expenses through the cost for the coaching class.
Great. That's all part of growing the game as well. Let's go back a little bit and talk about the First Stick program, because there may be people that watch that don't know what the First Stick program is with U.S. Lacrosse.
The First Stick program is a grant for new organizations or new teams that provides discounted U.S. Lacrosse membership fees to players and to coaches. They provide equipment. For instance, the boys, they get stick, helmet, gloves, chest pads, and elbow pads. And we get, over the 2 years for the program runs, you get a total of 36 sets of equipment. And that also includes 2 sets of goalie equipment, which is a stick and chest pads and helmet with a chin protector for the goalie. With the really girls, helps. Yeah, with the girls' First Stick grant, again, it's discounted U.S. Lacrosse membership, and the girls get goggles and a stick. And the coaches also get a discounted membership, and one of the requirements for both girls and boys is that they have to do the online coaching clinics as well. If you're too far away to take a in-person class, you at least have to do the background checks and the online clinics as well. Which those clinics are very helpful. It's not as good as in-person because you don't have the question and answers that you would do in person, but they're very helpful for the new coach.
Well, I would think that would be give a new coach a lot more confidence than just going out there cold and watching lacrosse interviews or watching lacrosse games on YouTube.
Yes, yeah.
So now, do you have how are the sponsorships going? Have you, obviously the First Stick program has helped a lot, the grant, to get things up and going and keep lacrosse affordable, but are you having some help from local businesses with sponsorships as well?
Yes, we go around and we solicit. A lot of parents have been great to have their business. They donate money, and we've kind of got a tiered system for donations and sponsorships. I'm kind of taking it upon myself this summer to go around to different businesses that we don't have kids involved with, talking to them about our program. For instance, last week I just went to First National Bank and sent them information, and they said they'd probably do something. And there was this arms manufacturer here in town that they thought they would probably do some sponsorship as well. And then I talked to Dakota Sports here in town, and they were interested in doing some sponsorships as well. That was just in the past 2 weeks. So it's been good. We need to have about 50% of our income needs to come from sponsorships in order for us to keep going. That way we keep our registration fees low.
And speaking of registration fees, what are your registration fees, or what were they this last season?
$135 for high school, $105 for U15, $95 for U13, and it just keeps going lower and lower for the different classes of kids. We're cheap. I understand that. To play baseball in this town, you're probably paying $300 to $400 a year. Even with soccer nowadays, it's about that expensive. And so I think it is a good alternative for us to have a lower cost sport to get kids involved with it and say, well, I don't want to take the risk and pay if my kid doesn't like it by paying hundreds of dollars. So we've kept it low for the time being so that we get these kids on board.
Oh, and that keeps it attractive. And as more and more sponsors know that you're there, and become more aware of lacrosse, because it is the fastest growing sport in the National Federation of High Schools Associations. Yeah. Fastest growing sport in the NCAA. It really is it's an old sport, but it's a sport for the future here in South Dakota.
Yeah, and on those lines, the RMAC, or Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, was the NCAA Division II. They just added lacrosse, men's and women's lacrosse, to their programs as a sanctioned sport. So
I didn't realize they added women's as well. I knew they had added men's, so that's great.
It's both, I believe. Yeah.
So do you think we can look forward to isn't mines in the RMAC?
Black Hills State and School Mines are both in the RMAC, and we're gonna have to grow here in Rapid City, I think, to get them going.
Yeah.
They just started soccer there, and so they might not be as quick to add another sport to their repertoire. It costs a lot of money, of course, but I think the kids, 10 years from now, maybe, these kids that are playing U9, I think they've got a great chance to play here locally in college.
Well, I think in our lifetime, we will see the time when kids don't remember a time when there wasn't lacrosse. It'll take a little while, but that will be a goal to look forward to, right?
It is. I think about that all the time, and now we've done it for 4 years now, and I think we're here to stay in South Dakota, and Corey's doing a great job East River with those programs over there, and South Dakota is, and North Dakota too, or Wyoming, they're great states that have a huge potential for growth, I believe. And I guess on that note, we always play Billings in Sheridan, Wyoming, and try to get Sheridan going with lacrosse, but no one's bit so far there. We always kind of just put on an exhibition game on a Saturday afternoon in March there. And it's been great weather every time. It's been in the 70s.
I've seen photos. There looks like everyone's having a good time, and it's been beautiful.
Yeah. So we're working on Wyoming. We'll get it.
Well, now, when are you going to be having a big tournament out there?
We haven't set a date yet for Black Hills Lacrosse to have a tournament yet. We'll probably set that date here in the fall when we start setting our other dates for tournaments and get coordinated with we need to coordinate with the Soccer Association for field space, and they're very willing to work with us. Another group is coming out of Colorado. They're going to put on a tournament up here, a lacrosse tournament, a regional lacrosse tournament, the end of June next year. They want to make, and it's going to be a powwow as well. They want it to be like a big lacrosse festival up here.
Some creator games as well?
Yeah, creator games as well. They've been in contact with some of the tribes throughout the area and was with me as well. And Dominico Rodriguez with Chamber of Commerce here in town. The Chamber of Commerce has been on board with this tournament that the Colorado people are going to bring up here. And so I think we're going to attend that one as well. And hopefully we'll get some guys from Montana and South Dakota and Wyoming and Denver up here for that tournament.
Wow, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, I hope it goes great.
Well, I think we've covered a lot tonight, Richard. Even with the breaks, but let's stay in touch and keep us posted. And we want to know what's going on out there and how we can help grow the game. We're just here to shine a spotlight on the kids that play, the coaches who coach, and the refs who ref. So keep us in the loop.
Thank you for contacting me, and I look forward to having you talk with me or other people in our association as well and during the future.
Great. Give a heads up to your coaches and referees.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again for joining us on This Week in Lacrosse, Richard, remotely. Great to finally meet you, and can't wait to actually see you so I can shake your hand.
Okay. Thank
you for the job well done.
Thank you, Carol, for doing this.
All right. Take care. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bargain Bites has a huge supply of refurbished electronics. They're a Microsoft authorized refurbisher. Just look at this. Computers as low as $100 and a wide variety of electronics, all so affordable. Look at these deals. A Dell 4-core laptop, fully tested, only $200. A MacBook, fully tested and ready to go, only $200. Subscribe to the Bargain Bites YouTube channel and get all sorts of great tips from super technician Brendan. Bargain Bites, just east of the airport off Benson Road. Visit them today online at bargainbites.net.
Welcome back, lacrosse fans. That was a great segment that you did here with Ben here at the Play It Again Sports, wasn't it?
It was great, yeah.
Just finding all the equipment that they have and the great buys. And while you were doing that, Corey and I were talking with some folks in here that were getting lacrosse equipment, and Corey helped Nick Sealer pick out his new long stick to try out being a long stick midfielder. And you actually said you'd help him, and you're stringing the racket for him.
We're gonna string the head and move the pocket up a little bit, make it a little more appropriate for a long stick.
Okay.
And hopefully make it something he falls in love with.
Well, let's see if you can have it done before we wrap up the show.
Too much pressure.
All right. Well, folks, we really appreciate you taking time with us. It was great talking with Richard Sudmeyer for Black Hills Lacrosse. The game is continuing to grow. Come along and grow with us on Lacrosse 605 as we work with you to help get the word out. Send us your news, information about lacrosse. We'd love to share your stories on Facebook and on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. Instagram, follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at Lacrosse 605. Mm-hmm. Facebook is just Lacrosse 605. And of course the website, lacrosse605.com. We're here to help grow the game. So for this week in lacrosse, I'm Carol McKee.
Corey Mitchell.
Haley Pratt.
And you are Lacrosse 605.